What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Just give it a second for it to notify people that we are live. Should probably check and make sure the audio is actually working, considering I tend to always mess up the audio on these things. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Man, it has been hot in Philadelphia. So I don't know where you're at, but it seems like this heat wave is never ending. It has been insanely hot. Yes, it looks like I'm live. Let's see if the audio is working. Hopefully it is. I don't know. It hasn't shown on my phone yet, so. There we go. The audio is working. Let me see if I can get the comments to work too. I'm going to talk to you today about brand. You are the brand. Act like it. That's how I titled this thing. So you are the brand. You need to act like you're the brand. That is important. And so I'm going to pull up in another tab here the ability to see you guys and see your comments, because that is a much better thing to do. What's up, Joe? Good to see you. Lily, good morning. Great to have you here. So I want to talk to you guys about brand today. You are the brand. Act like it. That is how I'm titling this. I wrote down 5 different points. I don't know if I'll get to all of them, but about being the brand. And I think it was Jeff Bezos who said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not around. So your brand is what other people say about you when you are not around. And here is a great action item for all of us as we kick off this Monday mindset is, why not reach out to the people that you do business with, your clients, even some of your prospects, friends and family, and ask them how they would describe your brand in a sentence or two, or what is the things that they feel when they think about your brand. So if you think about Joe Campert, Joe, you reach out to your friends, family. Hey, how would you describe my brand? What do I do for a living? What do I represent? What would you say about my insurance company? Because that is so much more valuable than even hiring a $20,000 consultant to come in here and give you what they believe your brand represents. Think and go to the actual consumer. What they say about your brand is probably more true than what you even realize what your brand stands for. So you've got to, audit yourself. We do this often by doing surveys here at Reminder Media. So we will send out surveys and ask our clients, kind of what they feel when they think about Reminder Media, what they think about, what they, believe we help them with. And it is always so humbling and surprising to realize what you see yourself as versus what your clients actually see you as. So that is a good action item for you. But the first thing I wrote down when I was thinking about you're the brand, act like it, is people don't buy policies, they buy people. So people don't buy policies, they buy people. You've heard the slogan ad nauseum. You got to get people to know, like, and trust you. And if you think about what gets people to know, like, and trust you. Because if you know that people buy from people and they don't buy policies, which means features tell, then the other side of that is stories sell. And I wrote down your story sells more than your services. And so I would challenge you, I wrote down this challenge, audit your last 5 social media posts, your last 5 pieces of marketing, if you haven't posted on social media 5 times recently, and ask yourself, would a stranger know what I believe in these last 5 social media posts? Do I describe or display my story, or do I describe and display who I am in these last 5 social media posts? Because it is an incredible audit to do, because you'll start realizing that it's so much easier to post about business things than it is to post about value-based things or business things versus personal things. But yet people do business with people they know, like, and trust. People buy the people, not the policies. And so I would encourage you, do an audit of your social right now. Do an audit of you on the web. Go to Google and type in Google your name and see what comes up, and see if it represents your story and see if it represents your values. And that is what's going to ultimately get people into your funnel. Third thing I wrote down was visibility beats perfection. So the enemy of progress is perfection, right? Or the enemy of progress is probably comfort, but the enemy of progress oftentimes is perfection. We get a paralysis by analysis, as we all know, and we're thinking about the perfect piece of content to put out there, the perfect thing to do. But ultimately, Visibility is what wins in the end. It's like there's a statistic out there that says 76% of consumers do business with the first business they think of. The big lie in the industry is that people think they want to work with the best. They don't. They work with the most convenient, meaning they work with the person that's known the most. See, oftentimes I give the example that you didn't choose the best dentist. You just chose the most convenient one. So you need to think about that. You're no different than the dentist, than the doctor, than the real estate agent as an insurance professional. People are going to do business with you because you were the most known to them. So visibility will beat perfection every time. How visible are you? I do so many talks around the industry on this frequency factor, the frequency effect. Frequency creates familiarity. Familiarity is a prerequisite for trust. You will not trust somebody that you are not familiar with. There's just a natural trepidation there to not trusting somebody that you don't know. So you have to build frequency, which is your visibility. And that's ultimately Reminder Media. That is what we are all about. We've literally helped hundreds of thousands of agents at this point, helping them with their visibility. And I call it visibility and credibility, right? When I send your magazine on your behalf, I want you visible in the home, and I want to build credibility with the consumer. And ultimately, being on a magazine, you're more credible than just being on a pamphlet or just a postcard. And that's the whole concept behind what we do. But what I've learned over 15 plus years of doing this is that, my gosh, man, the amount of times you have to be frequent with people in order just to have your message resonate is crazy. I was doing a Q&A show the other day for our new call-in series on Stay Paid. So if you're not listening to the call-in show, go back. We released an episode last Monday. We had a great episode come up today, but it was an interview with Nick Harris. But go back and listen to the last call-in show. Because I don't want you guys to miss it. I would love your feedback on it. I just filmed one the other day, this past week. And I'm interviewing this guy. He's in insurance. He just got started, and he is trying to build his business, and he's buying leads, and he's asking us questions on social. And I just am coaching him, and I referenced a magazine. He goes, "Oh, I'm curious about that magazine. I've heard a lot about that." And he starts talking about, "Hey, do you know more about that magazine? I think I'm interested in it." He has no idea that he is on Stay Paid Podcast with the owner of that magazine company. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy that listens to our show, Stay Paid. And the epiphany, when I got to the point, I realized, oh, he doesn't know that we do the magazine. He doesn't know I'm the owner of the magazine company. He's literally talking to me about it on the show, interested in it, but he doesn't know I actually sell the magazine, and I'm the one who owns it. So I go to him, I go, "Man, I've heard that guy that, runs that magazine company. He's insanely intelligent, a good looking guy." And then I'm like, "Hey man, that's our company." And he's like, "Oh," and he says a swear word. He did not realize. And why do I share this example? This is a guy that called into our call-in show of Stay Paid, where we reference Reminder Media in the magazine all the time. And it still had not been enough to where it was solidified. That guy had not heard it enough on every show. So I told Josh, I said, "Man, if that doesn't teach you about how frequent you have to be, I do not know what will." Because the amount of people that lose business because they think they can say it one time and then it resonate, it doesn't work that way. If you study Alex Hormozi, right? If you watch all of his early content, and this is something I didn't even do well enough, he would always open up by building credibility by saying, "Hey, founder of acquisition.com, I sold my company, whatever it was, Gym Launch, for $42 million. And he would reference that every show because he knew I have to build that credibility every single show because I have no idea the person who's watching it, if they've ever heard about me before. And for the people who have heard about me before, they need to hear it 30 plus times for it to even stick, for me to build authority in their mind. So visibility beats perfection. So here's my challenge to you, right? Because it's one thing to rant about this. It's another actually to put it into action, like the sign behind me. What is your cadence? What is your cadence of visibility? To your sphere, to your community right now, how many touches are you doing? Like tactics, right? If you want 12 touch points a month, you do one actual post a day. You do one story post a day at least. You do a couple value posts per week. You send some emails out twice a month. Maybe get a mailer out in the mailbox once a month. What is your cadence that you're doing to get in front of consumers? I believe it was Geico is trying to get in front of their consumers 37 times a month. Are you getting in front of your consumers 37 times a month? You need to build your cadence and be actual consistent in it, because this is the fourth thing I wrote down. Trust is built in consistency. Trust is built in consistency. So you can't, it's very hard to build trust in just a microcosm. You have to be consistent at it over and over and over again. We all know this, but yet our actions don't dictate discipline, don't dictate consistency. And I want to challenge you that, hey, you're the brand, act like it. You know what represents your brand the most? Showing up. I think it was Grant Cardone that said 90% of the battle is showing up. Showing up, doing the lifting of the cinder blocks day in and day out to build that cadence, to execute on that. I coached a real estate agent on our Acre Brothers Realty team. In his first year in business, he closed 70 deals. He's a top producer now, top 1% in the nation. But the number one thing he had, and I love Tim Bushnell, he's amazing, but it wasn't necessarily his sales skill or his business acumen, though he's decent at those things, and he's getting better. I shouldn't even say decent. He's probably an assassin now comparatively to most. But honestly, the biggest thing he had was he committed to his daily calendar every single day. And though every week he wasn't perfect in hitting his goals, he never gave up. And he had that consistency where he was doing 2 hours of phone prospecting every single day. He was doing a social media post and story every single day. In his first 90 days in the real estate business, he challenged himself to do a cup of coffee almost every day with a friend, a family member, someone in his sphere. And lo and behold, he closed 70 deals his first year in the real estate business. Was it rocket science? No, but he built trust through consistency. He built trust through consistency, which ultimately led to visibility for him, which ultimately made him a top producer. So I just want to share with you guys that at the end of the day, to be successful in any business, whether it's real estate, insurance, financial advising, I've helped them all. I've worked with 153,000 small businesses in 140 different industries. My main three industries: real estate, financial advisors, insurance agents. I work with thousands and thousands of people in each of those industries. And I am telling you, and I am a marketing guy. I love marketing. I love creating copy. I love creating ads. I love creating sales and marketing campaigns. But at the end of the day, you're the brand. And if you're the brand, you have to tell your story. You have to share your values. You have to make sure that you actually get out there and are visible over and over and over and over again, and do it consistently enough for long periods of time so you have success. That is what's going to win, regardless of the great marketing copy you have. It is that is ultimately going to win. That's something that's personal to you. You know your story. You know your values. Reminder Media can only take what you give us and put it out to the world in some cadence. You have to display that to the world. And if you're doing it right, you're probably going to be like a magnet. A magnet both repels and it attracts. So you repel some people away from you, you attract others to you. That's how you know you have a good brand, because you're standing for something. If you stand for something, you actually build something. If you stand for everything, you build nothing. That's the reality of things. You cannot be all things to all people. That's why they say there's riches and niches. That's why everybody will tell you singular focus. You have to represent your values and put that out to the world. You are the brand. Act like it. And at the end of the day, the fifth thing I wrote down, which is probably the most important, is your energy, your tone, your presence, your persuasiveness, what you bring to the table every single day, how you come into the world. That is what's going to represent your brand the most, how you actually treat people, the energy you bring to conversations. And I just want to remind you this week, as we close out here on this Monday Mindset, that mindset matters, because mindset affects your energy. And where your energy or where your focus goes, your energy flows, and your energy is going to dictate your results. And this is why when you get around top producing people, they might not be loud in dynamics, but they have an energy about them. They have a confidence about them. They have a relentlessness about them that they bring to the table every single day. And I want to challenge you to bring that to the table this week. Appreciate you guys. Remember, you're the brand. Act like it. Get out there this week. Win for your family. Win for your friends. Win for yourself. Let's make it happen this week. Happy Monday. It is June 30th. Let's go get it.